What's going on, everybody? This is Stubbs here from Retro Handhelds. As I'm getting more into Switch gaming lately, I've collected a few physical cartridges, and I want to show some ways to manage that to make it still kind of feel like digital, as well as some of my other favorite accessories. We're going to take a quick look. Starting left to right, we have a PXN P50 controller. This is great for having a Bluetooth controller. This has been flawless for the Switch. Here, just a couple of joystick risers. Those are always helpful for having some of that extra control over the joystick. We also have a Switch game card case. This is about $20. This is fun because it looks like a retro handheld, and it holds your games. Not only that, but it holds micro SD cards. Speaking of micro SD cards, these are great ones here, these silicon powers. They are a little cheaper than Samsung's while still being that same quality. These are in our description. All these items are, but I really like the value on this. Next, we have the Hori split pads. So these are great if you don't love the ergonomics of the Switch by default, which I do not. You can just slide these right on like that. These go for about $49.99, but you can sometimes find them used or on sale. Only downside of this is it does add a little bit of wiggle on the sides. So they make a smaller version of this one, which I'll link as well. But it still has just a little bit of wobble, so do be aware of that. But it's so much more comfortable in the hands to have nice big joysticks. L1, R1 feel good, L2, R2 feel good. And yeah, I love the feel of these. Highly recommend. They also have these resting points here, so you can just kind of put this down and let it rest. Other thing I love are getting these Skull & Co. joystick risers, so I have a few right there on the left side and on the right side. Add a little bit of height, just easier for my hands to reach things. Now, if you have a Switch OLED, one downside of it for me has been the D-pad on the left not being a traditional D-pad. We have 4 separated buttons. Makes sense because when you detach these to use them each as their own individual controller, you want to have those face buttons, so you can use that as your joystick. But if you're going to game like this, there's something you could use. So Skull & Co. make these awesome little snap-on D-pads. And this has an adhesive layer on the back you would just put on there. Nice pivoting D-pad. That's probably the easiest way to go. It's not a permanent change. Yeah, it adds a little bit of height and a little bit of grip. They are glossy, so be aware of that. That makes it more like a standard handheld, and that is kind of cool. These are only $10 from Skull & Co. Another option for D-pad is to actually buy a third-party Joy-Con that has a regular D-pad built in. This makes it look much like the Switch Lite. This is by YCC Team on Amazon. You can also get an Extreme Rate Joy-Con that lets you mod your regular Joy-Con to have a D-pad, but I find this a little less intense. I don't want to mod and mess up my fancy Zelda ones here, and yeah, that D-pad feels really good. These face buttons feel just like first-party. Joy-Cons feel like first-party. L1 and R1 feels about the same, maybe a little louder click to it. L2, R2, little louder click to it, but it feels functionally the same. They make other colors. These are fun. For holding your micro SD cards, beyond just having the game case, you could also pick up something like this JJC micro SD card case. This holds both small size and large size SD cards. And yeah, it's nice to manage and keep your SD cards organized. Another thing you could work on for ergonomics. So here's a Moomba Ergo case. They have this for the Switch OLED too, of course. In the end, I didn't like it for the OLED. I thought maybe it was a little bit too dug into my hands a bit too much, but I love it for the Switch Lite. So they make it for both. Nice grippy backs here. And I think it's perfect for this particular size Switch. Here I also put on some just clear plastic caps that have a nice tactile feel to it, kind of a grippy. So if you are not a fan of having digital games only, maybe you're concerned that Nintendo's going to Nintendo and pull some games off the eShop or close down the Switch Online store so you can't collect these games anymore and you paid hundreds and hundreds of dollars for them perhaps over time. And that makes you feel a little insecure about investing in Nintendo's digital storefront. I don't blame you there. I recently switched from going digital only, at least for Switch, to having, again, these actual physical carts. But I might have 3 or 4 games that I'm really enjoying right now, and I don't want to have to swap them out if I have it docked here. So that's where something like this accessory comes in handy. This is made by UNITEK. This is a Switch game card reader. This has 8 slots, 4 of them being live game slots, you can swap between the games with the push of a button, which is really a unique idea here. It's kind of like a CD changer for your Switch. So you have 4 games you can actively switch between, and 4 slots just for storage, so you can swap between your favorites. I would have loved to have seen 8 games they're playing at once. So fair enough, we have 4 here. You power it with this USB-C cable, which just plugs into the Switch dock there. And then it has these mounting arms to mount on top. Lastly, it has a dummy cart here that just plugs in. So it's pretty easy. So here's the Switch dock, and this has these arms there, and it's just gonna slide right on the back like this. And we're gonna plug this in here. Then you take your Switch, open the card slot, and that just slots right in. You got a nice little LED light there that comes up. This goes for about $38.99 on Amazon. Typically priced around $50. This is on sale, so you get 5% off. Not too bad there. Stay on the lookout for the link in our description. So let's load it up with a couple of games. Got our Mario Kart, and let's store a couple. And Zelda Breath of the Wild, and those just pop in the place. And there you have it. So right now we're on Yoshi's Crafted World. Pull out my trusty PXN P50 controller. So let's push the button to switch between, and now Mario Rabbids, so it cycles back to the first option. So the first slot is red, second slot is yellow. Now we see Mario Kart 8 came up on the screen. Burnout Paradise Remastered is pink, our third slot, and our last one, of course, is going to be back to Yoshi's Crafted World. And let's see if that works. Yep, just like a CD changer. Perfect. And if you're wondering why I can see a number of how much wattage is going in to my monitor here, this is it's a SOOPI, SOOPII cord USB-C cable that shows you the wattage that it's doing. So that's pretty cool. And now another great Nintendo Switch accessory that I've used, especially for filming here, is just having a portable monitor. This one's really handy. This is made by MageDock on Amazon, and this has been probably my favorite external monitor. IPS display, it has a touch screen. Let's say you're done with this. All right, I want to play some Mario Kart. Simple as that. Now, you still have to get up to actually push the button to change the card. So if I had one complaint, it would be that there isn't some sort of wireless remote option for this. That would be great. As it stands, what you'd have to do is get something like a SwitchBot, a physical button that you could attach on here that would act like a finger and push down on this, and that would totally work. Then you could control it from your smartphone or from some sort of remote, but that is an extra cost that you shouldn't have to do. While I really appreciate this and I like the fact that I can keep all these stored and good to go, I still have to get up anyways to swap these around. And so for my other Switch, the one the kids use, this would be super helpful for them to keep track of some of their favorite games. So when they're done playing their games, oftentimes they'll leave the cart sitting around. I'll have to remind them, put that somewhere safe or put it back in its box. If it was attached to the Switch, they could easily remember, okay, I can push this button to switch between my 4 favorites, and I can swap the other ones out right here. So I think for the kids, this is going to be more useful. For me and my aging gamer body, I might not make use of this in the long term as much. We like to go fast. Let's do some 200C. So what do you guys think? Are any of these Switch OLED accessories 100% necessary? Are there any that I missed that you think are essential? And what are your favorites? Let me know in the comments below. But these are just a few of my favorites. Well, with that, everybody, thank you for watching. And thanks to our subs and our patrons. This has been Stubbs with Retro Handhelds. Please do take care of those handhelds, everybody. And take care of each other. Bye.